And welcome to the BSR Sports Podcast from the fans, for the fans. Today, on Friday Night Football, I'm joined by, who would I guess that? Blair McNally and Luke McFarlane. Welcome, boys. How are we?
What's happening, Blair? How are you?
I'm glad to be
I'm
here.
all good. I was enjoying the Livingston v Celtic game there, and then Celtic scored 2 goals, so not the best, but we'll get straight into it. Look, Liam, you will be absolutely buzzing from that result at the weekend. A massive 0-0 between Liverpool and Manchester United. An absolute, I was going to say, superb game, but it wasn't really, was it? Talk us through it.
Mate, I'm about to go into full rant mode, honestly, because honestly, I was for good chunks in those games. I was spitting fire. Some of the things that happened that game, I thought, I've never seen Liverpool play like that before. Obviously, a 0-0 draw against Man United, you say, obviously, it's never been the worst result in the world. But the way we played for spells in that game, I thought was... I'm going to sound harsh for saying this, but I thought it was despicable the way we were playing. Because, of league champions, we need to be... Obviously, we did dominate for a good chunk of the game. But a team like Liverpool need to take those chances. The ones that Bobby Firmino had. We can talk about individual performances all we want, but the whole team had just a very meh game. I can't really name you one player, bar Alisson probably, that actually had a beyond average game, because Alisson saved us in the end with 2 great saves. And yeah, it's more disappointment for me. I thought I would have said I would have taken a draw. I still would have taken a draw, but the way we played, the game was there for us. And I don't know what Luke's going to say on a Man United's perspective, but I thought this was a massive opportunity miss for Man United as well, because we had 2 centre midfielders playing centre half, and that was the perfect opportunity to get at us and take real control and, well, be in the top 2 for the title race anyway. Now, Liverpool, with the way the game went, they probably would accept it, but everyone just had a meh game. And I look back to individuals again. I said Firmino had a few missed chances, but the player I want to point out really is Trent. There were moments in that game where his passing was off, his marking was off. It's just everything about him right now just seems off. And I said about a few players. I mean, I actually saw on...
Sorry, am I able to say something?
Yeah.
Before you go into a different topic, Trent Alexander-Arnold was the worst player on that park.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is no doubt about that. And people talk about him being the best right back in the world. People talk about being a big game player. Obviously, you've got the Barcelona game to put into perspective. Yes, he did turn up, and he probably was one of the reasons that Liverpool did go through that game. He is a big game player, yes. It was absolutely shocking. I was getting so annoyed watching him, because every single thing he done, he was out of position numerous times. He was passing to the wrong player constantly. His crosses were nowhere near it. His deliveries were nowhere near it. They were hitting the first man every time. And his tackles, he was missing tackles for days. And it just was... I was watching the game, and see when you're watching a player and you're just going, that is not his day. And there was a couple of actual chances that Man United pounced on from Trent. You can see Solskjaer actually teamed up with 2 players on him at one point. I don't know if that was Solskjaer or not, but I think the Man United players realised it, and they caught Trent out a couple of times. And I think Pogba's chance came from that, where... we'll go into that in a minute, but Pogba wasn't able to capitalise on that. But it's not good. It is really not good viewing, seeing your first team right back being exposed like that. And it's not the first time this season.
Absolutely. And I admit, it's quite ironic with the amount of injuries we've had in defence, but right now, our defence is actually the best part about our team. Because there was one moment, I think it was Rashford that was running through on goal. It was on the counter-attack. And then I see Fabinho, he was just holding off, and then eventually got the ball. That's what good defenders do. You can see he probably learned that from a Van Dijk. And again, Henderson played really well centre half. But the problem I have with seeing 2 of our best centre midfielders play there is I don't mind Fabinho playing there, because he seems to be a natural at playing centre half. But when you remove Henderson from the midfield and then you see him slotting at centre half, it really causes debate in your mind. Obviously, we may have not had a choice in the matter, but I would say that affected us. Not Henderson's performance, but just the way he was playing.
I totally agree with what you're saying there. With the likes of Henderson, I feel he's a ticking clock. He's the engine of the Liverpool midfield. He's the engine of the Liverpool team. He binds the team together. So when he's plucked out of that and he's put into centre back, where do you bind the team together from that? Wijnaldum wasn't able to do it. Thiago's not in full fitness yet. Thiago was not able to do it yet. Thiago tried. Thiago did have probably one of the better players for Liverpool. I felt Thiago did have a good game. He did make a few mistakes, but with the likes of Henderson, 100%, I feel he was missing from that Liverpool midfield. Obviously, slotting in at centre back, I feel he done an outstanding job. But all credit to Fabinho. Fabinho is an absolute baller at centre back. Honestly, if he keeps up the form that he's in, I wouldn't rule him out for Team of the Year. Yeah. And I know I'm saying that he's a CDM, but look, even you can agree with me. When Rashford was through on goal, every single person watching that game felt Rashford was through on goal and nobody was catching him. Fabinho had to run behind his own defender, pluck off a different player that he was marking, and then catch up with Rashford, and he's still done it. He's one of the fastest players in the league. It's remarkable, and the fact that he got in there and he was able to shove him off and prevent a goal scoring opportunity. It's one of the best challenges and recoveries I've seen this season, and it was purely down to the footballing mind that Fabinho has got.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, Fabinho's definitely doing bits for you at the back, and he's one of the reasons that you are kind of staying. You obviously aren't playing the way you want to be playing or getting the results quite that you want to be getting, but you're staying up there in the league. Like, you're going to have a chance second half of the season if you can get some players back. But I mean, I don't know if you could go as far as saying he's going to be Team of the Year, because it's not his natural position at the end of the day, and I don't think as well as he's been playing, I don't think that's a position that he's going to be playing going forward. Although you never know. I mean, they've got quite a lot of midfielders now since Thiago's come in, and obviously they've got Henderson in that deeper role a lot of the time. Liam, could you see Fabinho and Van Dijk pairing up in the future?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be a selection headache for Klopp once everyone's back fully fit. And Fabinho's best position is defensive midfield, and Henderson's better suited to playing in the more forward role. And I feel like once it looks inevitable at this point that Wijnaldum is leaving Liverpool, and that'll leave a big gap available. And I probably wouldn't be surprised if that was where Henderson will end up fitting in. Obviously, that's where he usually fits in. But if you have a forward-thinking midfield of Henderson and Thiago, you probably would need Fabinho back in that midfield role. But it is going to be a selection headache for Klopp, because he does do a job there, but his ability is not fully utilised in centre half, because his best position is playing pretty much as that. As a lot of the commentators like to say, he's like the vacuum of the team. He just sorts everything out. He cleans everything up for Liverpool. The only thing he's in that team to do is the dirty work. And when he's playing in that central defensive midfield role, it's when he can really show it the most. But when everyone's fully fit, it's going to be a debate. But I'd probably still stick with I'd probably go with either Matip or Gomez. But right now, yeah, it's definitely going to be a cause, not a bad cause for concern, but a good selection headache for Klopp to have in the future.
Yeah, 100%. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, just on the game in general.
Yeah, no, just on Liam's thoughts.
Oh, with Fabinho, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think that makes the most sense. I mean, obviously he's a natural right back, isn't he? That's where he was playing for Monaco. So it wouldn't be totally crazy to suggest that he can play centre back like going forward. And obviously, like I said, when I'm playing right back, he's not totally alien to that sort of position in the team. But yeah, I think you're right. I think when I've watched him, he's got a lot more to offer than just sitting back and defending. So it'd almost be a bit of a waste to have him playing there permanently. But I think it's just kudos to him for how well he's been playing, that we're even talking about that, even thinking about playing him in that position permanently.
Yeah, 100%. So, what was your thoughts? Obviously, as Liam mentioned earlier on, two centre mids playing the centre back. Man United definitely didn't take control of the game as they should have.
No, I think I'm probably feeling similar to Liam. I think you do want to win these games, especially when both teams are are in the title race essentially. It's obviously early days in the title race, but right now they're both up there. So you want to win these games, you want to win against your rivals. But if you ask me, look, will you take a draw against Liverpool away at Anfield? Of course I will. Especially when you look at last season, I think they lost 2-0 there, and they've not lost an away game since. And I think they were a crazy amount of points behind Liverpool in the league, and now they've closed that gap. And for whatever reason, Van Dijk and COVID-19 having an effect on games and no fans, all these are factors. But the reality is they're right up there, and if they beat Fulham tonight, which they look like they're going to do, they'll be top of the league again. So I think I'll take the draw. In terms of their performance, I think from as soon as I seen the lineup, I knew what sort of game it was going to be. With I think it's when I seen Lindelof coming for Eric Bailly, because neither Harry Maguire or Victor Lindelof have a lot of pace between them. So when you're playing those two, you're going to have to play quite deep, but you're not going to be on the front foot as much as you like. So I mean, I think as soon as I seen that, and I seen they were playing 3 centre mids, obviously Pogba was out on the wing, but he was clearly there to ping passes to Rashford and Martial another one, because he was clearly putting the team for his pace, but he wasn't completely fit and starting ahead of Cavani. So I think you could see what they were trying to do, and they've done it against a few of the big teams, hurting them on the break, counter attack. I think first half didn't really do a huge amount. Bruno Fernandes was poor with some of his passes. And then obviously second half, they looked a bit better. I think Man United probably looked the more likely to score in the second half with some of the chances from Pogba and Bruno Fernandes as well. Obviously didn't do enough, and the draw's a fair result. But I mean, yeah, I'll take the draw. And like I said, they can go top of the league tonight. It's a good result, but I think they're not going to get an opportunity like that at Anfield again with no Van Dijk and how poor Liverpool have been doing going forward compared to their usual standards, at least. Yeah, definitely. I think it is a bit of a missed opportunity, but not a disaster by any stretch of the imagination.
Look, you mentioned Bruno Fernandes there. Do you feel like I've noticed in quite a few of the big games where they play like the likes of Man City, Man Arsenal, and all the big boys? Do you feel like it's a cause for concern that he seems to go missing in big chunks of these games?
I don't know. I've heard this a lot, and I think I've seen his stats against like the top six, and someone who's labelled like a big game player by a lot of people is Kevin De Bruyne. And I think I know he's been injured for a large chunk of this, but in the last season, I think I could be wrong in this, but this is the stats I've seen, that Kevin De Bruyne has only recorded like 1 assist against the top six, and Bruno Fernandes has something like 4 goals and 2 assists. So I don't think it's fair to say that he goes missing. I think he's playing under instruction from Ollie. Ollie wants him to be taking these risks, trying risky passes, because they're not going to get anywhere. And I've been watching Man United for a long time, and since Sir Alex left, that's been a huge criticism of the creative players in the team, is that they just play these sideways passes. They aren't taking risks, and he puts it all out there. He is taking risks, and it's not going to pay off all at the time. He will have games like he did the other day, where he's got something like 50-60% of his passes completed. But like I say, I think if he wanted to just keep the ball in midfield and just play sideways, easy, simple passes, he could do that, get his stats up, and he wouldn't be getting criticised as much as he is right now. But at the same time, you're not going to have all these chances that he's creating for a lot of the attacking players. So I can see what he's doing. He had a poor game by his standards, but I think as time goes on, he is going to get more involved in the big games. I think it is a bit of a myth that he's not performing against the big teams. But I definitely see where you're coming from. He definitely does need to improve.
You spoke about Man City. 2 draws, Liverpool and Man City. 2 years ago, you definitely would have taken them. So it shows you how far you've come as a club overall, doesn't it? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
2 clean sheets as well.
I mean, last season we actually done the double over City, so we've shown for a while that we can compete them. But I totally know what you mean in terms of just pointage and where we are in the league. It's positive to see. Yeah, I think City right now actually look, I'd say, the best team. I think the run they're on, and at the start of the season weren't having the best time, and now I think they've got 2 games in hand over United. So if they win all their games in hand, I think they go top of the league.
Yeah, they go top of the league if they win. They've got a game in hand over Leicester, I think, as well.
Aye. So City are in a good position. I think the way they're playing, the results they're getting, they'll possibly be the most confident. But I think it's always a bit of demoralizer when you have games in hand, because honestly, I would rather be in United's shoes right now, or Leicester's. Whoever sits top of the league, it's always positive. Even if the other team below you has like 2 games in hand and they're only 2 points behind you, I feel like it's always encouraging just to be the team who's getting chased, if that makes sense. And City are still doing the chasing, so a lot of pressure on them to keep up their performances. But with the way they're playing, I definitely would put it past them. But as you say, like the gap seems to be getting smaller between United and these teams. But I'm also a bit sceptical to say that, because I think it just takes one transfer window for City to get some crazy players in, as they've done in the past, and could potentially take the league by storm again next year if they don't do that this year.
Yep. Spoke about Man City. Convincing 4-0 win against Crystal Palace. Did you see the goals?
Yeah.
Unstoppable, and surprised that Raheem Sterling scoring a free kick like that. You may not like him, Liam, but you need to give him credit for the goal.
Absolutely. It's a moving train for Man City right now. They just win and win and win and win. I feel like if they won tonight as well at time of recording against Aston Villa, I think that's 9-10 wins in a row now. And these are what title winners do. They go on streaks. Liverpool went on a massive streak last season at this point of the season as well. And this is where you really separate the cat amongst the pigeons, because this is where you see the big boys like Man City right now, Man U, obviously, and hopefully that'll be Liverpool's sake as well. But honestly, mate, this title race could literally go one of 6 ways, because there's so many teams that could have like a purple patch, and then it'll be in their hands again, or it'll be out of their hands again, because you genuinely don't know at this point. Because Spurs are still in it, Everton are still in it, Liverpool are still in it. You can't even rule out Aston Villa at this stage, because they've got all their games in hands as well. It's a crazy season. And with Man City, they obviously look like the favourites for me. Unfortunately, I don't see either Liverpool or Man U. I see Man U falling, not falling off a cliff, but I do see their form dropping a little bit, maybe in a couple of weeks time. But with Man City, they just seem unstoppable for me. And
there is. Sorry to bore you there, but I'm just looking at this. There's 13 points between 10th and 1st. 13 points between 10th and 1st. And you've got...
See last season, sorry to interrupt you there, but there was a bigger difference between Liverpool and 2nd at this point last season than there is between 1st and 10th.
It's crazy.
You've got Everton on 32, Tottenham on 33, Liverpool on 34. All with games in hand, obviously, over the likes of Man City, Leicester and Man United. But you've got Man United, and Man United are top just now on 40. They're beating Fulham 2-1. Then you've got Man City and Leicester, both on 38. But obviously, Man City have got a game in hand over them. So it really, really is all to play for. You can't rule MD out at the moment, apart from Liverpool, because they've not got MD.
Problem with Liverpool right now is I don't want to sound like a pessimistic Liverpool fan here, but our best hope right now with the luck we're getting decision-wise, I don't want to keep whinging about decisions, but I thought these small decisions make a big difference. And see that decision at the end of the first half, where Mane was through on goal, and the referee blew the whistle when there were still 5-10 seconds left to play. And that really infuriated me. But I don't want to keep whinging about decisions, because at the end of the day, some teams have the luck, some teams don't. And
talk about Pogba's decisions with that finish. You could have been 1-0 down.
Yeah, I know.
Shocking finish right into he had all the goal to aim at, and he had it right into Alisson.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Liverpool's sake, I don't see us winning the title this year. I just feel like everything's going against us, and like I said, with decisions and injuries and just everything just doesn't seem to be going our way this season. And I think for Liverpool's sake, Liverpool just need to hope that they can stay in the top 4, because they can't afford to miss out on Champions League football at a club like Liverpool, and that should be, in my pessimistic Liverpool fan opinion, it should be their first aim this season, because Man City don't look like they're going to be slowing down anytime soon. And I think the game to look out for now is the Manchester Derby, which I don't know when is, and when Liverpool play Man City. Those are the games you need to look out for in this title race. If Liverpool can beat Man City at Anfield, then it can completely change the narrative of the season. And that's just how crazy this league is.
Yeah, talk about decisions. You've got the VAR decision tonight in the Manchester City game. Look, did you see it?
Yeah, so this is when the boy's offside and seems to tackle the player. Yeah, it's a weird one because maybe I need to be more clued up in the rules, but I thought it was as simple as if you're offside and you interfere with play, that it's given as offside. But I think Liam was saying that because he's tackled him, it's maybe not given as an offside. It seems like a very, very dodgy decision. I'm not going to lie, but if it was against my team, I'd be fuming.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. Another decision at the weekend. Well, this is probably a more interesting decision. Lionel Messi deciding to punch one of the opposition players before his team gets beaten in the cup final against Atletico Bilbao.
Yeah, you can
shocking decision.
You can see Messi's been watching his TikToks with the "I like your cut, G." I can just imagine that TikTok right now with Messi on it. There probably is one made. We'll find it and we'll put it up and we'll get copyrighted for it. We'll do that for you guys, right? Barcelona, they were winning 2-0, weren't they? I think they were definitely leading in the game, and then the first few minutes in extra time they conceded again.
It just nothing's going right for Barcelona at all. I'll check on this just now.
I think they're like fifth in the league or something like that. And
Aye. Barca, no, sorry, so they were winning 1-0, and then Atletico Bilbao scored in the 90th minute to equalise, take it to extra time, and then Inaki Williams scores again, 94th minute. Barcelona actually had 5 minutes to play still, and Messi just decides, nah, I'm not having it. Pushes a guy down and hits him from behind.
I think with that Messi red card, it just shows that he's just. I feel like he's just
not interested.
He doesn't give a shit. He really just doesn't give a shit at this point. And it looks like he is willing to just go to the absolute extreme just to get out of the club at this point. Obviously, it seems like he's probably going to run down his contract. You don't see anyone trying to pay his release clause, especially I know he's Messi and all, but even a 34-year-old on massive wages, they will just wait until his contract's out. But with Messi, it's crazy. I think it's just in the heat of the moment as well. But with Messi's sake, he just looks like he just can't be arsed anymore, and he looks like he can't be arsed working under Ronald Koeman, under any of the Barca hierarchy, and it looks like he's just thrown his toys at the pram.
He said himself
for making him stay there.
Sorry, look, what I was saying is he said it himself in the goal interview after all the fiasco happened with the Barcelona owners. He said, I don't want to be here. I want a fresh challenge. I don't want to play under people that don't respect me. I don't want to play under people that don't.
Did he say that after the game?
Yep. Wow. No, not after the game. He said it at the start of this season. He said, I don't want to play under people that don't respect me. I don't want to play under people that don't respect this club. He says, the owners of this club don't put the club first. It's all about money for them. And he came out and he actually said that to the media, and the club are still decided. I think he came out and he was trying his hardest to get out of the club after all that, but he's still playing for Barca. But you can see he's one game on, one game off, because he does turn it on. He still shows us the message it is, because he's still trying to get that move. But you can see with something like that, he just gives up. He just hits the guy out. You just can't do that, can you? So another cup final lost for Barcelona. Where do Barcelona go from here? It's not going to be an easy road, is it?
No, absolutely.
I think they've got. Sorry, man, you go.
I was just saying, with Barcelona, everything's just rotten from top to bottom. The team is all over the place. The management's all over the place. The hierarchy is all over the place. Everyone knew that Barcelona were going to going through a transitional phase, but not this bad. By the way they're playing, I wouldn't be surprised if I'm genuinely not going to be surprised if they miss out on top four, because they are playing so poor. And the fact that even Messi, obviously still having a decent season, but up to his standards, it's obviously not the same. And it's a long road back for Barcelona, and another cup final defeat is definitely going to be a dampener on the confidence. Yeah,
along the same lines, look.
Yeah, definitely. I think similar to Man United in the sense that it's not, the players of course need to do better, but and the manager. Well, I'm an Ollie fan, but the fault clearly lies with the owners here. Like, it's something that a lot of people are saying, and just with like the some of the decisions you're seeing from people high up seem to be very questionable. And I think it is easy to think like there's no getting better for teams, and it could be that with a few good signings and some good results that maybe Barcelona do get themselves back up there. But I think until there is some severe change at that club, it's going to be the same story for a while.
Yeah, they've had their glory day. One thing positive I will say about Barcelona, we'll just wrap this up quickly. Pedri, he looks an outstanding player. He looks a spitting image of Messi when he first came through.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one with obviously Barcelona have always had a great youth system with obviously Messi came through it, Iniesta, but obviously they're signing the youngsters from foreign teams abroad. Obviously that's going to be, the rules are going to be different for many clubs, but for Barcelona's sake, it's definitely a positive to see some youngsters come through like Pedri. I'm pretty sure there's a few others as well, but Pedri definitely stood out.
You've got Puig as well. You've got quite a few, but it really is just a tale of top to bottom for them. As you said, both of you. Unless there's severe changes, I don't see anything changing drastically at the club. They were unlucky to lose a last-minute winner, but you can't feel sorry for them. You need to defend well, and it's just the luck of the tail at the moment at the new camp. So it is. What a game that was last night, wasn't it? Roma v Spezia. 2 red cards in the space of a minute. And we'll talk about the red cards first, and we'll go on to the other amazing piece of skill that happened later in the game. So did you see the 2 red cards though?
I did see the 2 red cards, and the first one, when you're on a yellow card, it's always a silly tackle to make. And the second one, it seemed like desperation to me, because last man, and if you don't take him out there, he's going to score. So he has to do something, and it seems like he probably just took one for the team there, I thought.
It was a bit of a... Who was it that made the challenge? Was it Valverde? Remember, there was Atletico Madrid player was running through
against Madrid.
Aye. Bit of a challenge like that. Just you've got one or two options. You've got an option I give away a goal, or you've got an option I take one for the team. And it was one of the ones. But at the end of the day, he didn't take one for the team. They ended up giving it away. But all credit to Spezia, beating Roma in their own stomping ground 4-2, knocking them out the cup, and what a goal to round it off. Look, did you see the goal? The chip?
I did not. You'll have to ask Liam.
Just a wee wobble for the goalkeeper. It was fantastic skill.
It was outside. I can't even remember his name. Baldy guy, whatever his name is, Baldy guy. And I'm not really a Spezia expert, but outside the box, and it wasn't getting closed down quickly, and they had all the time in the world. Don't know why the goalkeeper was off his line, but honestly, no. Even because the goalkeeper was off his line, don't think anybody's seen him doing what he done. And he just chipped it ever so elegantly up and over the goalkeeper, and it just nestled into the net. It was a hands in the head moment when I was watching it. It was just remarkable. And that was it. Game over. Dzeko stormed off the pitch at the end of the game, started arguing with somebody and just went off the park. So unlucky for Roma, but all credit to Spezia. Talking about Serie A football, very, very interesting title race at the moment, and we witnessed one of the most interesting results of the season. Ronaldo and Juventus, they're not doing it at the moment. 2-0 defeat to Inter Milan at the weekend. What's your thoughts? Look, we'll go with you.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see, because how long have Juventus just been dominating Italian football for 9 or 10 leagues in a row, I think now, something like that.
Yeah, 10. They actually got 10 in a row.
Have they got the 10 in a row?
It's the only team that get 10 in a row. Talking about 10 in a row, Livingston have just drew 2 each with Celtic.
Oh, man, another
finished. Scott Brown gets sent off. It just gets worse for Celtic and Scott Brown, doesn't it? It's just not happening for Lennon.
Is that a bad thing for Celtic though, that he's going to be out for 3 games?
I know. Roma v Inter. Look,
Roma v Inter. Sorry, I did not see this.
No, not Roma v Inter.
Roma. Juventus.
V Inter. Sorry, I'm
Juventus
just getting my head all scrambled because I'm happy with that Livingston result.
You're just trying to confuse me with the questions.
I know.
I know. Big result. It's the two. It looks like the two Milan teams at the moment who are at the top of the league there, and seem the most likely to stop Juventus getting 11 in a row. Then, but it's crazy. It is because you kind of just take that for granted and assume they're going to be winning it every year. But it's nice to see. I hope AC Milan do it because they're one of the biggest teams in the world and they've just not been there for so long. And if we can see them with the Serie A title at the end of the year, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, my Italian team are AC Milan, and it really it's the whole recruitment process they've brought in. So they've went for an RB Leipzig Dortmund approach, where instead of spending big and spending 30 million, 35 million on players, they're spending well. They're looking at the youngsters and trying to progress them, and it's working an absolute treat. Even though Ibrahimovic isn't really a youngster, he is surrounded by them. So all credit to the owners at Milan. Well, they are new owners. They clearly know what they're doing, don't they?
Yeah, I mean with Ibrahimovic, what a signing that is. I think I seen his goal stats the other day since he signed for Milan, and it's more than a goal every for the game. Like he just doesn't seem to be aging. He's like 38, and even at Man United, they had a bad injury, went to America, and everyone thought, right, no, that's him now. Comes back to Serie A, and he's tearing up, and he's helping them win the league. So just massive credit to him. And as you're saying with the young players, who is there out there that's better than Ibrahimovic to be learning from and to be just absorbing his like knowledge and seeing him training with him every day? It'll just be brilliant for them.
Yeah, we just mentioned that. We'll go on to Celtic and Rangers, as most of you will be hoping for. We've just mentioned that Celtic drew 2 each with Livingston. The second game in a row they've drew with Livingston. They're really not in a good run of form, are they, Leo?
No, absolutely not. And I'll bring the Celtic's perspective today. Obviously, Celtic have their own problems in and out the club, and it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse for Celtic. And I like to call it just embarrassment bingo at this point, because you don't know what's generally going to happen at Celtic at club level or hierarchy level, because you never know with the people at this club. And it sounds like I'm going to rant about Celtic, and I'm not doing this as, I'm not a Scottish football fan. I'm just doing this as a football fan in general. A club like Celtic should not be put, and they have shot themselves in the foot way too many times. And a club like Celtic, one of the biggest clubs in the world, to keep doing this to themselves, it's honestly embarrassing. And I don't know how many games is it without a win, or how many. I can't remember the last time they won 2 games.
We're on double figures now, mate. That's all I'll say. It's brilliant for a Partick Thistle fan, obviously. I love it, but it's really not brilliant because I'm seeing my dad close to tears nearly every game. It's horrible. It really is horrible. And the quicker change happens, the quicker Lawwell leaves, and the quicker the board gets a reshuffle, the quicker Neil Lennon leaves, and they get a whole new team of players in. I actually wrote a review on the transfer market if Lennon were to leave, which is talking about the January transfer market and the summer transfer market. Go and check that out on the bslsports.co.uk website if you've already not. But back onto it, it really is. It's time for change, and there's no other way about it. The league season is over, isn't it? Aberdeen are looking for McInnes out. Their fans are putting protests with bed sheets outside Pittodrie, saying Derek out, McInnes out. They're not happy. Aberdeen are a terrible run of form. Hibs are 20 points behind, going on 30 points behind. They're not going to be getting caught up. They're not going to be catching up in Rangers, even though they are in a brilliant run of form. Celtic can't win a game. Rangers are just unstoppable. They're grinding out wins. 10 in a row's over. Rangers are outstanding. Even though they've just drew 1 each with Motherwell, I don't see them getting beat this season. Do you? Look.
No, what is that? Just the third draw of the season for them?
Yep.
In the league,
third draw of the season, and I think two of them were against Benfica.
Oh, I meant in the league. I'm sure they've drawn twice in the league before tonight, but I'd have to see. But I mean, I don't think
it's staggering.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question who's going to be winning the league in Scotland now. And I've got plenty of Rangers fans who are being a bit humble about it all and saying that they don't want to get carried away themselves. But I think at this stage, it's not a question of who's going to win the league. It's a question of by how many points and if Rangers are going to lose a game along the way. But yeah, similar to Liam, I'm not a Scottish football fan, so as a neutral, it is nice to see. I've been seeing Celtic win the league there. It's got boring as a neutral to see them winning it year in year out, and for Rangers to come back, it's the two biggest teams in Scotland, them and Celtic. So it's nice. It is nice to see them back up there, and I hope they do it. I don't think there's any question that they will. And we spoke before. I think it is just a question of them maintaining it and seeing how many league titles they can claw back in the coming seasons. Obviously, with keeping certain players, but I think this year it's over for the title race.
Liam, obviously being a Liverpool fan, you know the life of Steven Gerrard. What a job he has done coming from the youth academy of Liverpool. Never been a manager before and coming in and just transforming Rangers, not even Rangers first team, Rangers Football Club as a whole. He's done an outstanding job, hasn't he?
It was certainly ballsy of Gerrard to take up the Rangers job as his first senior role, because Rangers, like I said with Celtic, are obviously massive as well. And with Rangers, I know they were in a different predicament when he took over, but with Rangers, you need to be winning silverware. And I'm pretty sure if Steven Gerrard was the manager that allowed 10 in a row, he'd be slated for years. But if he won the title, he'd be seen as an icon for years. So it's the biggest question mark with Gerrard is, can he win a trophy with them? And it's going to happen this season, obviously. And it's a great sentiment to see Gerrard do well. And it's just a further stepping stone for him to become Liverpool manager. And I don't mean to say that in a bad way for Rangers fans, but it's quite obvious that if he keeps up the way,
it will. He'll be. Sorry, I think we all know he'll be Klopp's predecessor if he keeps up the way he's going.
Absolutely, he won't either. He'll see out his contract at Rangers, or because Rangers might know though that is financial suicide if they do that, because if Klopp was to leave, God forbid, at the end of this season or next season, Liverpool would have to pay a massive buyout fee out of his contract, Gerrard, because he's contracted there till 2024. And I want to see I'm in a bit of predicament because in my house it's all Celtic, but I don't love Rangers. I love Steven Gerrard. I want to see Steven Gerrard do well. And
I'm the same.
And it's a shame for it's a shame for Celtic and that there's no title race, but I'm glad to see Gerrard do well, and it's good to see that he's clearly taken some inspiration from previous managers. I'm not actually going to say Jurgen Klopp this time, but a manager I'm seeing rubbing off on Steven Gerrard right now is Brendan Rodgers, and it seems to be that
I spoke about this before. It's your mic's purring like a cat.
Is it?
Aye. We spoke about this before with Brendan Rodgers, for instance. It's a mirror image, and you're seeing what Rodgers is doing with Leicester now. Well, they were top of the league for 24 hours last night. It's just a mirror image of the success that style of play brings, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously with Gerrard playing under Rodgers for a large amount of time, he would have learned a lot then. But just the rivalry that those two would have had when for the two season that Gerrard and Rodgers were against each other with Rangers and Celtic, I think that all spurred Gerrard on to up his game. And I think we are seeing a very talented young manager in Steven Gerrard emerging. And I think it was you actually who I listened to on one of the podcasts talking about the difference between him and say Neil Lennon, just purely because of the difference they would have had as players and the sort of understanding that Steven Gerrard will have. I can definitely see him going on to do big things. Obviously, as a Man United fan, I'm not too excited to see it, but it's nice to see what he's doing with Rangers and just how far he's taken them so far, and potentially still got a bit longer as well with them. I think I'll be interested to see if he does go straight to Liverpool after this, when that call does come, or if he does choose to go and manage elsewhere. I think I'd like to just see him go straight there and stay at Rangers for as long as possible. But yeah, I think it's interesting. We spoke before. Could we see him going to like a championship team or a smaller Premier League team after Rangers? But whoever it is he goes with, I think he's got a big future in football for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Talking Scottish football, we have got 2 massive games this weekend. We've just spoken about the Old Firm. 2 League Cup semi-finals this weekend. No Old Firm in them. St Mirren obviously knocked out Rangers in the last round, and Ross County knocked out Celtic 2 rounds ago. Massive opportunity for all 4 teams: Livingston, St Mirren, St Johnstone and Hibs, get into these 2 semi-finals. Massive opportunity to get a bit of silverware, isn't it?
Yeah, especially for St Mirren, it's almost a mirror image of when they won the League Cup a few years ago. I think they knocked out Celtic back in the day, and I think the semi-final.
Semi-final.
And they've got. I think they're maybe the only team in Scotland to beat Rangers potentially this season. So that they're showing they can do it, and they've had some good form recently in the league, showing that they're a very difficult team to beat. I think they lost their last game, but for a long time before that, just been really difficult to break down, solid defensively. So.
As I've said, the way you've just said that is exactly the way I've said about Jim Goodwin. He'd done it with Alloa Athletic, and he's continuing to do it. It's finally paying dividends. The way Jim Goodwin played with Alloa, I was waiting, and it wasn't working with St Mirren. He was trying different things, and I was like, just do the same stuff you were doing with Alloa. Finally, he's got it, and he's just got the compact defence. He's got the midfield all working together. And he's got the strikers holding up the ball, and it's working an absolute treat. And I'm all for it. It might not be the best style of play to play for. It might not be the best style of play to watch as a fan. But when I'm reporting on it, it's effective. That's all you need. They've beaten Livingston. They've beaten Rangers. They've held Celtic to close games as well. St Mirren are starting to come into a game, and there's definitely no reason why they can't go all the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it'll be good to see how they get on. I think they give themselves a chance, don't they? Every game they play with the way Jim Goodwin sets up, and I'm excited for it. I used to live in Paisley, so a wee bit of a St Mirren fan in me. So I hope they do it and get to the final. Yeah,
Livingston v St Mirren then on Sunday, and then you've got St Johnstone v Hibs on Saturday. The last time Livingston, I actually spoke to David Martindale and I asked him about it. And he said he'd done his whole team. This was after the game, because I was at the game in the last round, the Livingston v Ross County game. And David Martindale, when I spoke to him in his interview, he said, I made my whole team talk in there about Hampden. So if this game's not Hampden, I'm not going, I'm boycotting. That's what he said. So that's the type of manager they're playing under. If that was the type of manager I was playing under, I would be having so much fun. And it's evident that Livingston, with their draw tonight again against Celtic, they're still unbeaten under David Martindale. That's 10 games now going on to double figures that Livingston are unbeaten. I just don't see them getting beat against St Mirren. I know you are a St Mirren fan, but watching both teams, Livingston are definitely a top 6 shout.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we've seen so many times, haven't we, when managers come in and just have this big immediate impact. If they just sort of turn the way the players think around and bring these sort of positive vibes, it'll often get them good results, and we're maybe seeing that with them. So yeah, it's a big ask, I think, for St Mirren. They've obviously done it against Rangers, but this is going to be a completely different game where they're maybe expected to play as well a bit more than they were in the game against Rangers. So yeah.
I honestly don't. In the 4 teams that are playing in these semi-finals, I do not see any underdogs. I know I've just said that about Livingston and St Mirren, but that's purely on the basis of speaking to David Martindale, realising what he says. I've actually spoke to Jim Goodwin as well. I was at the Hibs v St Mirren game. I was at the Livingston v St Mirren game as well. So I've seen the way teams play against each other. St Johnstone, I've been at the St Johnstone game as well. St Johnstone are a team to watch, by the way. I would not rule them out against Hibs. The reason I'm saying that is, if Craig Conway, you'll know Craig Conway used to play with Scotland. He's a Scotland international, won the Scottish Cup previously with Dundee United. If him and Stevie May previously won the Scottish Cup for St Johnstone at Celtic Park, you'll remember. If Craig Conway and Stevie May, both Scottish Cup winners in the league, can link up and play the way they have been this season, I see them causing an upset against Hibs, because Hibs are kind of on and off at the moment. They have got Kevin Nisbet up front, who's firing all cylinders. He's been scoring worldies, but honestly, both games, it's whoever turns up in the day, because I can't rule out MD. It's the 4 teams. Take out the Old Firm. Well, obviously Celtic aren't on form, but take out the Old Firm. These 4 teams are the 4 teams that I would say are on the best form at the moment, and I couldn't have made up a better set of semi-finals. What are your thoughts on the results of these games? Purely, well, what do you think the results are going to finish? So you've got St Johnstone v Hibs on Saturday.
Well, my knowledge on these kind of games are very, very limited, but I do know, obviously, that Hibs pose a very good threat with Kevin Nisbet, and I know he's been touted for a Scotland call-up as well.
Yep.
And I don't know much about St Johnstone, if I'm going to be perfectly honest, and I can't really say that I'm going to give St Johnstone the win based off the fact that my knowledge isn't very high on them, so I'm going to go with a Hibs win.
Yep. Look, what about you?
Similar to Liam, I can't say I know enough about the 2 teams, but I suppose would you call Hibs favourites with the way they've got? Yeah.
With the way Hibs are just now, they're sitting 3rd in the table. I couldn't rule them out.
Yeah.
But honestly, St Johnstone. I was at St Johnstone v Hamilton game, and they dismantled them with the link up of Craig Conway and Stevie May. 5-0, score finished in a Premiership game, winning 5-0 and dismantling a team who actually came into the game on form. This was at the start of the season. If that same link-up sparks you again, you've seen it with your own teams. If a link-up with 2 players with such experience sparks, anything can happen. And they've both been in that position. And it's not just they 2 players. St Johnstone have got a full team of experienced players. They've obviously lost Danny McNamara, which is poor. He was one of their best players, Danny McNamara. He's went back to Millwall, and he's getting a game for them. But I don't know. I feel if Conway and May start, I don't know. I can see St Johnstone getting a win. If Conway doesn't start, because he's not been starting many games, and I actually quizzed the manager about that, I can see Hibs getting a win and Kevin Nisbet getting a brace. Kevin Nisbet will get a brace in the game. Livingston v St Mirren. You're obviously a St Mirren fan coming from Paisley. If you're going to talk about Scottish football, look, you go with St Mirren one, wouldn't you?
Yeah, of course. Obviously, I want St Mirren to do it, but I think at this point it obviously applies to both of the fixtures. But I think as soon as Rangers and Celtic aren't in the mix for these things, the quality does significantly drop, and that's no disrespect to any of these teams. But I think it is just anyone's game. Like with both fixtures, I think it can go either way. And yeah, of course, I think with St Mirren, they've obviously maybe got the biggest name on their record this season by beating Rangers. But I think it will be a very different game. You've maybe got a team who, like I was saying a minute ago, you're expected to actually play football against a bit more than just sort of sitting back and defending. So that might actually make it more difficult for St Mirren. But they've like you've been talking about with Jim Goodwin, he's probably doing some good things there and making themselves a very solid outfit. So I think I hope St Mirren and I predict they win. But again, I feel like it could go either way.
Yeah, I'll put Livingston down for that. I just don't see them getting beat. Sadly for St Mirren fans. Look, Liam, why did I say look? Liam, Livingston v St Mirren. What do you think?
I'll be the deciding factor since when you went St Mirren and Livingston. I'll go with Livingston. I've watched a lot of. I haven't watched lots of Livingston, but I've watched a fair bit of Livingston. Obviously, playing against Celtic recently, and they look a decent side, and they seem to be a bit of an annoying side for most teams. They seem to be a bit of a tough nut to crack sometimes, and for that reason, I'm just going to go with St Mirren. Again, my knowledge is very limited on both teams, but I'm going to go with Livingston.
You're going to go with St Mirren and Livingston?
You changed it there. You gave me some hope that you're going with St Mirren for a second.
You going with Livingston or St Mirren?
Livingston.
You getting tired, son?
I'm just a little bit.
Doesn't matter. We'll finish it off with a quick recap with the Man United Liverpool game. We've obviously got the game this weekend. Massive game again. What are your thoughts? We'll go with your thoughts.
All right, okay, I'll start. So, yeah, I think you always want a trophy, don't you? And it's difficult to say right now because we don't know what position Man United are going to be in a few months' time. If Man U are still competing for the league at the end of the season, then I'm not bothered about this game. For me, it's another game that's going to fatigue your players, and we're seeing with Bruno Fernandes and a few others that it seems like the running of games is getting to them. Of course, it's against Liverpool though, and it's at home. I want to win, but I think I could see a much changed side. I could see maybe Dean Henderson coming in, a couple of changes in midfield, maybe even Bruno Fernandes getting a rest. I think that'd be an interesting one to see if Donny van de Beek finally gets some minutes, and who starts up front. You've got Cavani and Martial both playing today with Rashford getting rested. So yeah, I think it's just not as important for me as the game there at the weekend. It's not the league, but you want to win all your games. I hope Man United do it, but I don't think there's as much on the line in an FA Cup game as there was at the weekend there, I'd say.
Yep. Well, what about you? Do you think it'll be a B team fielded by both teams?
I'm a bit of an old-fashioned football fan when it comes to cup games. I hate it when teams don't take them seriously. Like, I can understand with maybe the League Cup in England, but with the FA Cup, it's one of the biggest competitions in the world, and it doesn't get much bigger for Liverpool's sake than away to Man United in the Cup. I do think, unfortunately, Jurgen Klopp will rotate this game, but I hope for my sake that he doesn't, because this is a game where credibility is so key going into a game like this, and you need to have your best team out there. Maybe a few changes, but the kind of changes I would talk about is the goalkeeper. I don't see Alisson starting this game because it seems like Kelleher is the cup goalkeeper. Adrian's frozen out the squad now. He's not even like third choice at this point.
Oh yeah.
And so with Liverpool's sake, I hope we go strong, but it wouldn't surprise me if we did field an entire second team.
I see Rhys Williams getting a game as well. I think he deserves a game. Obviously, putting Jordan Henderson in front of him, I think his performance against Atalanta maybe merited another game in the Premier League. I don't know about you, but that's the way I feel. I feel he deserves to be given another chance.
He's physically strong, Rhys Williams. He is really tall, and then I think that's what the non-league football done to him last season. So he might be a bit of a key player for Liverpool in a sense, because if Cavani starts, because he offers a good aerial presence as well, and Cavani seems like he can play every game. He seems like a naturally fit player.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me if Rhys Williams started, because of he's probably the strongest out of the options we've got, because obviously Gomez is injured, Van Dijk is injured, and Matip's made out of glass.
Can I just say one thing off the back of your point about being old-fashioned with the cups? I'm much the same. I think if this is a Man United team of old, I would be exactly the same, where I want them competing for every trophy. It's just because they're in a position now that I'm getting a bit of a headache with Man United sitting at the top of the league. I don't really know what's happening. It's almost confusing me, where I just don't want anything to affect that, which is why I'm saying just rest all the big players. I don't think it will. I think Klopp, we've seen in the past how many players he rests, but I think Ole will still field a relatively strong team just with a couple of changes maybe, and I could see one big decision coming in, maybe resting of Bruno Fernandes or a Martial. But no, I'm definitely similar to you, Liam, where I'd like to see them winning this. It's just I don't know if they will. I just don't. I'm not seeing Man United at the top league in so long. I don't know if I want to risk them having so many competitions to worry about.
Yeah.
Yep. So predictions, boys.
I'll let Luke go first here. I'll let Luke go first.
1-0 Man United, and I'm saying that with my heart, not my head.
Liam.
Look, Liverpool's second team is much, much weaker than Man United's second team.
Yeah, it's a question of if he's play a second team or not.
And it's one of Klopp's biggest flaws, really, when he plays. He always rests key players in cup games, but I still think even for a Man United away, you cannot rest that many players. There's only a few players I could name off the top of my head, which I can tell you are most likely not going to start, and that'd be the likes of Alisson, Trent, I'd probably say, and one of the front three.
I think Trent maybe needs this game. I think Trent needs this game, probably.
Possibly.
Confidence back up.
But you also need to take into account the players that are angling for a game. If Trent's on poor form, and Nico, obviously I don't rate Nico Williams that highly, but the only way he's going to get better if he plays, and what bigger game to get him the experience than away to Man U in the cup. But I'm going to go with my head in this one. I'm going to stay confident. I'm going to say we're going to win it on penalties, and that seems ironic winning a game against Man U on penalties. But I'm going to go with a win on penalties for Liverpool.
That'd be an interesting one.
Absolutely.
Very interesting one.
I hope not to have to see that.
You won't be watching it, you'll be turned on. No chance you'll be watching it, you'll be straight up plants. I'm going to go with, purely because Liverpool in the FA Cup do not go. I don't think they've went for about 10 years now, so purely on that basis, I go with Liam, you're not going to like me, but I'm going to go with a 2-0 Man United win here.
I don't blame you. I genuinely don't blame you.
You said that last week about Liverpool, so that means it's going to be a draw, even though it can't be a draw in the cup.
You've jinxed
it. It can't be another draw. It can't be another draw. It's seven draws out of 11 now. It's mind-boggling now. I'm sick of it. But that's all from us this week. Thank you very much, boys. Thank you for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Good luck to the both of you this weekend. I really do hope that both teams get knocked out, but unfortunately that cannot happen. So one of these will win. One of you will have the bragging rights to go through. So enjoy taking the mick out of each other, whoever it is. Please leave a subscription down below. Click that subscribe button. Help us out. Let's get 150 subscribers before the end of the month. Like it as well whilst you're at it. Do us a big favour. Thank you very much for joining us. And it's a goodbye from me for now.
Cheers, boys.
See ya.